Page 49, March Sloth. There's a note at the top, I'll come back to that later. That's part of the articulation thing. Accents. We haven't even had accents yet, other than I've talked a little bit about natural accents, so we got to talk about accents. Anyway, let's go through the routine. It's 1 page long, treble and bass clef, no sharps or flats in the key signature, so you're thinking C major. No, not so fast. Things are getting a little more involved now. There is a minor key also. We have majors and minors, and so far we've just dealt with majors. Well, now we're starting to get into minors because this is a minor key. For every key signature, there is a major key that goes to it and there is a minor key that goes to it. So now when we start thinking about what key is it in, we got to look a little deeper. Is it the major or the minor? As far as the scales you're doing, you should do them both. So here, now you need to start doing the A minor scale also, 1 octave up and down. So now you're going to do the C major scale and the A minor scale, both. Just when I do the scales, I do it according to key signature. So that's what it is. Here, I know it's an A minor, and generally, major keys and minor keys sound different. The C major, A minor. A minor has kind of a darker overall feel to it. A lot of times, most of the time actually, you can look at the last measure. Most pieces will end on their 1 chord, and that tells you the key. Here, the last measure, the whole note at the bottom, that is, these notes are in an A minor chord. We have the A, the C, and the E. That's an A minor chord. It's in the key of A minor. I won't get in too much about majors and minors yet. Just understand that you look at the end and most of the time you can figure out what the key is. Before we only dealt with majors, we didn't have to look at the end. We just looked at the key signatures close enough. But now we gotta look deeper. And it's a 4/4 time. So let's take this one hand at a time, make sure we understand what the hands are doing because we're moving around a little bit. The right hand, when it comes in, you're here. We have accidentals. 1 and 2 and 3. I'm going to use the 4th finger here. Here. And 2 and 3 and. Now, second line, last measure. This, you're crossing over for 1 note. Just relax. You'll do this. You'll turn around or make it hard or nothing. Just relax. It's just 1 note. I mean, you can move the hand there. You have to. Just 1 note. Now, on the 3rd line, 2nd measure, the whole note, you're here. Then they want you to lift up and come up here. There's not a lot of hope or help here. You just got to lift up and move. There's no rest or anything. You're lifting up. It's between phrases. You're going to lift up anyway, but this time you lift up and move. It's not a real quick, jerky motion or nothing. It's just a simple, you're just going from here to here. And basically you're playing the same thing again, but up here. Same thing. Last line. So the first measure, the last line. The measure of rest, and then they're saying 4th finger here. And it's a little more comfortable to use 4th finger. But I'm going to encourage you to stay where you are and use 5th finger. You've been using 5th. Just stay there. It's good for you. And then the next measure is the same notes but down here. And I'm going to use 5th finger on that. And then you come up here, and for the half note, it is a D and a G sharp. And I'm going to suggest you use 2nd finger on the D here. And that way I can connect both notes. This is used a lot in piano too. I want to connect them both. The thumb could do both, but if possible, I like to connect the notes. Left hand. Well, let's see. You're starting here, and we have an F coming up. So we're in this position, sort of. And these other fingers are wherever they are. I don't worry about them. I'm not using them. And again, I'm using weight. And in this, it works out where it's down, up, down, up. 1, 2, 3, 4. So it's here, down, up, down. And the weight's pushing the notes down here. And I'm just switching from these to this. I'm just transferring weight from these to this. Is all. Doing that quite a bit. On the second line, last measure, now you get eighth notes, but they're on the ands. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Okay, and then in the third line, we need thumb on the E. So you come to E. Back to what we were doing at the beginning. Now in the third line, second measure, they give you the natural sign. It's not needed. It's a natural anyway. But that you just had a D sharp in the previous measure, so they're just helping you out a little bit. Make sure you play a natural. Then the sharp sign in the previous measure is only good for that measure, so you don't need the natural sign. However, it doesn't hurt anything being there, so I just want you to understand it's there, but you don't need it. You're going to do it anyway. Last line. The last line, you're up here. And then 1 and 2, or 3 and 4 and here. And then you come down, same notes down here. And then a 4-1, and then a 5-1. Here. So once we have that, then we try and put the hands together. And again, I hesitate all over the place. I don't care. I just want to know how the hands are working together. So starting in the third measure, we're here and here. These are all together. And then here, and here, now 1 and 1 and 2 and 3 and this is tricky 1. Lift up to move, but I'm going to connect the left hand. So I'm here. Get the idea. Last line. 1 and 2 and. It's the same notes down. Get the right hand up here and have it hovering over the top of it, ready to go. Okay, and then you get the left hand out of the way. So again, starting with the third measure, the last line is here. And then here, and here. It's a little tricky. The music's getting more challenging. It's good for us. So once you kind of have the hands working okay, then you go back through whatever you need to and get rid of any hesitations so it's a steady beat. March. This is like a march, a slow march. We're not in any hurry to get anywhere. Just left, right, all the way through. No hesitations. And then we think about the articulation. This is pretty connected. The left hand, they don't give you anything. Connect it. Go ahead and connect it. The right hand, lift up. Lift up. Lift up. We're just lifting up between the phrases. That's all. And the left hand, you're connecting it. So the last two measures of the first line, you're here. You're connecting it. But I'm going to lift up in the right hand, not the left. See, I lift up here, but not here. So I'm lifting up in the right hand, but not the left. Now they have a marcato there at the beginning between. Marcato means marked. It's sort of like an accent. It's kind of hard to describe. You can almost separate them when it's marked like that. I've never heard it played that way. It's just that's what they're putting in here. My mind will forget the marcato Let's just play it all pretty connected. There is a note at the top to put an accent on the first and fourth beats. Well, that's great. So what's an accent? An accent is when you start the note a little louder than normal, and then you just play the rest of the note normal. So the accent really only applies to the attack or the beginning of the note. Ba, ba, those are accents. A piano can't do that. With a piano, all we can do is play the note and the piano takes over. So for us, for piano players, an accent means you just play it a little louder than normal. Now, I've already talked about natural accents where you feel it. Those come out naturally. Natural accent. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. Those are natural. You just feel them. But they're telling you to force these. These are stronger than that. This is a 1, and they want it on beats 1 and 4. Well, beats 1 makes sense because that's the first beat of a measure. That's a natural accent anyway. But beat 4 is a weak beat. But they're telling you to bring it out. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1 throughout the whole piece, because it's kind of the style, I guess. And you just, again, let the wrist claps on these. Go. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1. It's weird, but that's what they're asking for. If you find that a little, I can't do it, then go ahead and just use the natural accents. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Do it that way. That's most arrangements do it that way. But this wants to beat 4 for some reason. Then the dynamics. Well, it's loud. F is forte, and it's going to be the melody, although they give you another loud in the third measure. I don't know why they give you a loud in the third measure. The loud here is loud. That makes the accented note a very loud note. But in the third measure now, when this comes in, that's melody. That's loud. And the left hand's got to go in the background. You get soft. So it hits. I'm going to suggest that you forget about that note at the top and just put in the natural accents. It's more important really to feel the natural accents than to go off into whatever they're trying to do and do this. Just 1, 2, 3, 4. Just feel it that way. Now the dynamics. Well, I don't agree with their dynamics of what they're doing, but let's talk about it. The marcato isn't dynamic. That's give it a marked feel. Forget the marcato. I already talked about that. Marcato is more of articulation anyway. We want the F. The F is forte. That means loud. You decide what loud is, but don't get carried away with it. But then in the third measure, you don't really need that F because you're already loud. That applies to the melody. This left hand has to go in the background. So your first two measures, the left hand's loud, and then it has to go in the background. It has to get soft all of a sudden. So it's. Now we get down to the third line, they give you another loud. Think, why? You're already loud. Well, in interpreting the piece, you might get louder and softer. And at the end of the second line, you may have felt coming down a little bit. All they're telling you is in the third line, make sure you're loud here. So here, in the right hand. Even though this is playing the same note names, it's not melody. This, keep it in the background. This is melody. Now you're soft in the third line, third measure. Left hand's very soft, so it's here. And then in the fourth line, in third measure, you get a crescendo. You're going to crescendo back up to loud, forte, but don't get loud until the last line. So you got 2 measures to go there. Get a little louder. Loud. It's like, I'm doing it like 2 notes or 2 beats at a time. The crescendo means to start getting louder. So when you're there at the crescendo, you haven't changed yet. I'm still soft here. Now a little louder, louder. Now, there. So you plan it out. Otherwise, you'll be loud within 2 or 3 beats. You'll get loud immediately. So watch it. Last line, you're loud. Both hands. Here. And then at the end, they put accents. The little sideways arrows, those are accents. That's the symbol for an accent. You play it louder. Here. I mean, they're loud now, so now they're going to be very loud notes. Both hands. Yeah. Just claps the wrist on them. Don't bang on the piano. Don't tense up. Claps the wrist. You're just using more weight is all it is. And then the speed. They don't give you speed. I've been playing it way too fast because it shortens the video up. This is actually real slow. At the bottom, last line, third measure, there's an accel there, A-C-C-E-L, period. That is the abbreviation for accelerate, or start getting faster, start speeding up gradually. So it's... doesn't tell you how much faster to get, you just feel it. Don't be in a hurry, don't speed up too soon. Just take it time. It's like each group of these eighth notes will be a little faster. A little faster. Yeah. Let's play this together very slowly and check the notes and the rhythms. I'm not going to do any dynamics. I'm going to play both hands about the same. We're not performing it. We're just checking notes and rhythms. And I can't speed up the end because the metronome won't speed up. So I'll give us 4 counts. So let's just try it very slowly together. 1, 2, ready, go.